love like this. There it is. I've never found a love like this.
Hello everyone, welcome back to E20 Zone TV. It is Wednesday. The week is almost coming to an end, and listen, I cannot wait for Saturday to come and we can see West Ham back in action. But I've got some topics of conversation that I want to discuss with everyone tonight. This is the 1 to 11, and I'm going to name some topics tonight, and I want to get everyone's views on them and see what everyone's going to say. It's been a mixed bag season for West Ham, and for me, these topics of conversation tonight are going to really justify what is really going on. So I'm going to start off as I wait for people to arrive, and this is a polarizing opinion. Should Fornals be dropped? Now, for me, Pablo Fornals isn't one of my most favourite players. I openly say that. Listen, I respect the man. He's come to West Ham. He's embraced the club. He loves the club. He sings bubbles, and he's a pretty nice geezer. Like, he's got a good attitude, good work ethic. But as for end product in the final third, this man is shocking. Absolute shocking. He don't score many goals. He don't make many goals. He works hard, like the old slogan, working hard. But for me, he needs to be doing a lot more than just working hard. This season, I've not seen anything from this man. Not one decent thing, like in any sort of game to say, yeah, he deserves to play. People will say that the position he's in isn't his natural position, and he should be played as a 8, I think it is. For me, he's played on the left-hand side for West Ham last season. He played all right. He's played on the left-hand side this season, and he's just turned into a completely different player. I did see one game last season against Liverpool at home where I thought he was excellent. And I gave him man of the match, and I could not praise the man enough. But for me, I do think he's massively overhyped. Massively overhyped, Fornals. And there's no disrespect to the man, but as an attacker, I want my players to attack, and he does more defensive work than he does attacking, in my opinion. So it'd be interesting to see what everyone thinks on him. Like, should he be dropped? Should he be moved from the left to like a number 10, number 8 role? For me, I think as a number sort of 10, I think he's quite decent. Like, just in that little pocket of space, just in behind the striker. I don't think he's that bad. On the left-hand side, he's pretty pointless, if I'm being like brutally honest, because he can't cross, he ain't fast, he don't take a man on. A lot of his work is sideways and back passing. Don't get me wrong, his passing is very good, but it's hit and miss this season. It really, really is. So let's see what you've got to say about that comment when it all usual arrive. Hi, James. Hope you are well. Cannot make it to the game on Saturday due to the rail strike. Can I forward the ticket onto someone, or have they stopped that? I think you can forward it onto someone, Kev, if I'm honest. Someone, if you're on social media or you've got family members on social media, someone will want to go. It's going to be a nightmare on Saturday due to the rail strike, don't get me wrong. But I think the Queen Elizabeth line is running. And it's only running to the game, but coming back from the game, it's going to be a nightmare. That's what I've seen. I think that they're stopping the trains at 5:30 on Saturday night, which is crazy. The way it's madness what's going on with the trains at the minute. But yeah, I'm sure you can, Kevin. I do mean that. As I sort of wait for people to comment on that statement, I also do feel with Fornals is that I think he's one of Moyes' favourites, isn't he? Let's be honest. He's one of Moyes' top lads, and for me, I don't see where the attacking threat is from Pablo Fornals. I see a defensive player there. I just don't see an attacking player there. Now, when I look at Fornals as an overall player, I look at him. I look at an industrial midfielder, as I've always said. Like, someone who would be. I think he would actually do a pretty good job next to Rice, if I'm being honest. I think if you had Fornals or you had Souček, I know I would rather have. I think Fornals gets amongst it a bit more. He's better passer than Souček. And yeah, I think Fornals as a 2 would be not too bad, even as a 3. If he was playing a 3-man midfield, then yeah, like but I just don't think on the left hand side he's cut out for it. In my opinion, he just isn't cut out from that left hand side. Is it a factor that he's defending a lot because of Cresswell's on that left hand side and he covers Cresswell a hell of a lot? Now that was the old myth last season, and I remember getting into many disagreements with people about this. And I said the only reason why Fornals plays on the left hand side because Cresswell. If we had a better left sided player at left back, he wouldn't be as needed as much. I think this season's proved it. I think this season's proved that it ain't just the left hand side that he's no good. It's the fact that he just doesn't produce anything in the final third, right? Not as in goals and assists, right? Very, very rarely. And people say about like the sort of mini assist up to the goal. Now, for me, that's not good enough. It's just not good enough in my opinion. So, yeah, let's have a look. E. Davis says, no way that Fornals should be starting unless next to Rice. He's attacking is trash. Totally agree, mate. I've got nothing against Fornals. Listen, I've got no agenda against Pablo Fornals. Do I like him as a man? I think he's a decent bloke, as I've said. Do I like him as a player? Yeah, he works hard, he gets stuck in, and that's what we want at West Ham. Don't get me wrong. But is he an attacking player that's going to burn people for pace, get balls into the box, and actually score some like goals and like lots of them, and make a lot of goals? I just don't see it with Fornals. He might make one goal, then he's a hero, but then we don't see him for 5-6 games. Do you know what I'm saying? He's one thing with him that I could sort of summarise with Pablo Fornals is he's inconsistent. One game he could be a man of the match performance like he was against Liverpool last season. Round about this time last season, we played Liverpool at the LS and he was absolutely first class. I've not seen that since from him, in my opinion. If anyone should get dropped, it's Bowen. Can't blame Fornals for consistently being played out of position. He's a central midfielder, not a winger. He's not very creative and a good defensive, but not a massive threat. Don't worry, we will get on to Bowen later on. I don't disagree with one thing you said there, Hammerhead, though. Yeah, about playing him out on the left. He's played out on the left a few times now for West Ham. It's ain't like this is not a new thing with Pablo Fornals going over to the left and it being new. I've seen him play left wing back, left wing, left of a three in the midfield. I've seen quite a lot of him playing on that left hand side, so he should know his role really. The problem is with him, in my opinion, is his consistent performances. There is none. There's no consistent performances with Pablo, and Harry keeps starting games. That borderline goes on to David Moyes, but I do feel before I round this up, before I get on to the next thing, is with Fornals, I think you take him out and use him as a sub to sort of control a game rather than start a game, in my personal opinion. His best position would be next to Rice. I would like that position, don't get me wrong. Like people are umming and ahhing about it, or I don't know. He can't be any worse than Souček in that position, in my opinion. But as I say, it's the consistency factor. Pablo is just not consistent enough, in my opinion. So, yeah, he misses a lot of shots. I totally agree, Hammer's dad. I really, really do. I remember last season, and even through like the pandemic, and when we was playing games behind closed doors, the amount of chances Pablo used to get, and he used to miss them from like 2, 3, 4, 5 yards out. And I was like, what is going on? His good points are, though, he is robust. He does get stuck in. He's passing. When he's on it, he's very, very good, Pablo. But when he's off, it's pointless having him on the pitch, in my opinion. So, yeah, what we got here. Great admirer of Pablo, but I think he needs dropping. I think he needs. I think if you want to attack a game, you don't put Pablo Fornals on there. If you're trying to contain a team like a very, very good side, then I think Pablo's the man. I think if you come against like the big teams, then you want that workhorse. But then, as on the left hand side in a 4-2-3-1, I just don't think it works out for him. So yeah, that is my opinion on that. Let's move on though from Pablo, because it'd be interesting to see what you think on him. I'm going to go to this man. Last chance for Jared. Mr. Jared Bowen has got one last chance, in my opinion, to be given a starting role at West Ham United Football Club. I have not seen anything productive from Jared Bowen this year. Really, really haven't. I think he's been absolutely awful, if I'm being truthfully honest. And from the player that I have sort of monitored from Hull to West Ham to the present day is shocking. Shocking. Like, I remember this lad at Hull, and as I said, and anyone who's followed me on this channel for a long time knows that I used to do a lot of like work in Hull. I used to see a lot of their players. Now, Jared Bowen was one of their players, and listen, I used to always say that Jared Bowen is the man for West Ham, and when we signed him, I was absolutely over the moon. Absolutely, I could not praise it up enough. I thought it was I thought it was absolute steal for like 24, 25 million or whatever it was. His first season was slow, but he got there. Last season, he was phenomenally good towards the back end of the season, and from the end of October to the end of the season, he was excellent, absolute excellent. This season, it is like I've not seen anything of this man. I've not seen him run at a player. He's going back to his old habits of running with the ball, but he's not looking up to see where the players are around him. And it's a major concern. It's a major concern because he was one of our bright sparks last year. And let's be honest, if it wasn't for Jared Bowen last year, I don't think we would have even finished 7th last year. I think he fired us into that position, and he was absolutely excellent. Now, do I feel that Maxwell Cornet deserves a chance? Absolutely. Absolutely. Would I like to see Maxwell Cornet and Bowen on the pitch at the same time? Definitely. Definitely. But I think Jared Bowen needs to have a bit of a reality check and to see where he's going wrong. Because I see other players getting dropped, big name players, bigger players than Jared Bowen, and they come back and they have like a point to prove. I just think Jared Bowen he's just blagging it at the minute. He's just getting on by, and it's just not good enough. It's just not good enough. Now, I'm not going to say that he's all to blame. He's had Kafel on that right-hand side. He's had to do a lot of defending on that right-hand side because, let's be honest, Kafel has been absolutely shocking. But there is a but here. Him going forward this year, he's been non-existent, absolute non-existent. He can't cross, he can't pass, he's like darting into the box at the right times. He's just not there. He's just not there. Now, Wolves is coming up on Saturday. That man's got a good record against Wolves, loves scoring against Wolves, home and away. Now, I expect him to turn up against Wolves on Saturday. The only reason why I would pick Bowen on Saturday is because of that record that he has against Wolves. He loves a goal against Wolverhampton Wanderers. That's what I will say. But when it comes to him moving forward, I need to see something more from this kid. I really do. I've not seen him this bad ever, in my opinion. And I've watched Bowen for about 4 or 5 years, right, as he went through the whole setup and then all the way into the West Ham team. So it is a major concern. Let me have a look to see what you are saying in regards of Jared Bowen. I feel Bowen's overachieved only recent seasons. I feel now he's levelling off a bit. Sad, but he's still going to be a good right winger. I agree to a point there. I think maybe he's been fanning out a little bit. This is for Fornals. Fornals is having to cover left wing to cover Cresswell, which I said. Defensively, so we do miss out on the attacking in that position. He needs to go back into the middle. I agree with you, Mike, 100% there, mate. I don't think he deserves a chance till Cornet loses form. Maxwell Cornet, I'll be honest with you, does deserve a chance. He does deserve a chance at West Ham. I do feel for Cornet. He's getting like the Benrahma treatment of being on the pitch for 5-6 minutes and people expect him to do wonders. And when he does come on, he might not perform straight away and people are criticising him. So, yeah. Cornet isn't a right winger, though. Stick Mickey on our right. He can play right wing, though, Cornet. Play left or right, mate. But I do agree. Even Antonio on the right wouldn't be a bad shout, and having Skamaka up there, just change it around to a point. The whole point of buying Cornet was so he could play on the left wing and Fornals could go back into the middle. So I totally agree. I don't think Cornet works as a right winger. I don't know. I do, mate. I think he can do that role. He can play all along that front line. He can even play as a false 9. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I do think he can be good in that position. I agree, James. Cornet deserves a chance. Listen, I look at Maxwell Cornet, yeah, and when I look at Bowen, if I had my way, I'd have Cornet and Bowen on the same team playing together, one on the right, one on the left. That's what I will do. Then I will get on to my sort of final subject, where it leaves a player literally in the dark for no reason, who has been one of our best players. But I do think Jared Bowen deserves a kick up the arse, and a real big kick up the arse, in my opinion. I think he's getting into the England side through reputation and not through form. Jared Bowen has not been good this year and doesn't deserve to be in the England team at all, in my opinion. And I just think West Ham need to go with something fresh, and players need to realise that they're not. This is not last season where they was playing every week and they can be comfortable. This season, if they're not performing, they're out, and we've got a replacement to come in. Now, can Maxwell do it at West Ham? I believe he can, but I do believe he needs time to come in and settle in. And I think the time is now, if I'm being honest. And I think if Jared Bowen does not perform on Saturday evening against Wolves, a team that I've said he always seems to score against, then for me, how many chances do you give a man who is running out of chances, in my opinion? So it's a major concern with Bowen. It really, really is. I really do rate your thoughts on this tonight. I really do. Cornet isn't a bad player who scored like 11, 12 goals last season, 8 assists in a team that got relegated. I totally agree, mate. I totally agree. I think Cornet, every time he's come on, West Ham have always been in trouble. Like even Skamaka to a point. Every time these players are coming on, West Ham are 1-0 down, or we're trying to like scrape something out the game. I've not seen West Ham on the front foot, and I'd like to see West Ham on the front foot. Like on Saturday, I do expect West Ham to go all guns blazing, literally go at Wolves, and I expect us to win. Like, if we don't win, then why are we not beating Wolves, who have been terrible this year? But I think Cornet is really getting the Benrahma treatment, in my opinion, and it's sad to see. And that's where the favouritism comes in, and that's when it all goes back to David Moyes. But that's a different story altogether. Does anyone think Bowen doesn't want to play for Moyes anymore? Some could be said about the whole squad, to be honest. I feel like he's losing the dressing room. Totally agree with you on that. I think the dressing room is a bit uneasy at the minute. I will say that, because there is certain players, and I will get on to my final sort of topic before I sort of open it up to the chat and get all your thoughts before I wrap this up, where some players are being ill-treated, massively being ill-treated. And some players deserve a chance and have performed last season and this season, and they're still not even getting in the team, really. So I do feel this favouritism. I've always said that from minute one. But we'll get to my final comment, and it's this. Benrahma, where is he? Now, Saeed Benrahma, my boy. I will put that back on. This man I have backed up for a long, long time. Long time. And I think that Saeed deserves a chance to be in the team with the likes of Paqueta, Cornet, even Bowen to a point. He come on against Aston Villa and he played well, and he helped us to get the win. And Moyes was hugging him at the end. Against Forest, he was good, right, but he was just very, very unlucky. I think Saeed, I don't want to go sort of in with it with Saeed Benrahma, but because everyone knows how much I've got, like, sort of time for the man, and I think the man deserves a bit of respect. But what has he got to do to get in his team now? Now, I mentioned Maxwell Cornet. He comes in, he's fresh. Saeed's been pretty good for West Ham this year. Like, he comes on against Chelsea, puts in an absolute phenomenal ball in for Cornet. Against Everton, he hits the post. I don't know what more Saeed Benrahma's got to do to prove that he should be starting the game. Now, he's one player that I wouldn't mind seeing in the team with Paqueta, because I think them two could work well. I think Paqueta could find the passes for Benrahma, and Benrahma, for how much people criticise him, he does love a shot from outside the box. You just never know what you're going to get with Saeed Benrahma. But I think he can't do any worse than what we're doing right now. So it'd be interesting to see what you think on Benrahma. It's polarising with me. I like Benrahma, don't get me wrong. And when Paqueta come in, I said I've got to roll my hands up and say, right, you got to let Paqueta play. You've got a Brazilian international there who is top quality. But Lucas Paqueta hasn't done anything in really 4 games, in my opinion. Against Chelsea, he was okay. He was good. Against FCSB, he comes on the second half. He was okay. Yeah, he was good. Against Silkeborg, I thought he weren't all that, if I'm being honest. And against Everton, I'd say the same thing. Not all that at all. Now, you've got to give the man time, but I just think Benny deserves us to be playing. I don't understand why Benny's not playing and other players are playing who don't deserve to be playing at the end of the day. So, yeah, let's have a look to see what you're saying about Saeed Benrahma. Let's have a look. Benrahma needs to start, James Simple. I agree, mate. I agree. I don't like to sort of keep mentioning about Benrahma. I've learned to shut my mouth now and that. But I look at Benny and I think to myself, like the other day, someone gave him a 4 in their ratings against Everton. And I looked at it and I thought, what are you seeing? Like, what are you really seeing? Like, he comes on the pitch, he hits the posts. Fair enough, he wasn't unbelievably good, but you're giving players an 8 who were absolutely shocking. Like, I just don't understand people's perception of Saeed Benrahma. Now, listen, I'm not going to blow smoke up his ass and say he's absolutely amazing. Far from it. But he can do. Like, he deserves to play when other players are not performing, in my opinion. So, yeah. Let's hope the news that Nobes is coming back on the scene will give everyone a lift. Totally agree, Steve. I think it's positive news. It is positive news. And it's news that we all need to hear. I need Noble in and around that team until January. I really, really do. I think, in my opinion, West Ham are a little bit in trouble, if I'm being honest. I don't like to say it, but I will get onto it towards the end. Benny had to start the next game. Yeah, I agree, mate. Moyes did the same thing last year. He started great, and then Moyes destroyed him. Yeah, he did destroy Benny last year. Benny on the left with Cornet as a wing back behind him would work and allow Benny to stay forward. I agree, mate. Moyes needs to let Benny have a good run of games. It's not so much a run of the game, Steve, in my opinion. I just think Moyes needs to let him loose with top quality players around him. Now, if you're playing with Paqueta, you're going to get better because Paqueta is a class act. Now, I don't agree with Benny being on the left-hand side. I've always said that. In a 4-2-3-1 system, I think Benny's pointless being over there. In a 4-3-3, with 2 inside forwards, i.e. Benrahma and Bowen, with Paqueta, Rice, and maybe Fornals as a 3-man midfield, then you are talking my language. I think Benny needs to be closer to the goal rather than miles away from the goal. Because at least one thing with Benrahma, he will have a shot from outside the box. You don't know where it's going to go, but sometimes it could go in. So yeah, he just needs a chance, mate. Benny just ain't one of Moyes' favourites. That is so true, mate. It really, really is. And that's why I don't agree with this favouritism tag. I think this favouritism tag is just wrong on so many levels. I think, like, yeah, you got your mates in there, you got your favourites in there, but like for me, it's like you're trying to cripple the geezer so bad that you just want him to go. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's a shame. It really is. If Benrahma doesn't start, we lose against Wolves. Only one created is so obvious. Yeah. West Ham women taking the lead against Chelsea. Oh, fair enough, mate. Benrahma has won us all over this season except Moyes. Yeah. I think I will get on to Moyes towards the end, but I can see that the tide is starting to turn with Moyes in a really, really bad way, in my opinion. I'm an Algerian, and Benrahma wasn't called up for the national team this time by our national coach. Moyes has wasted him. I did see that. I did see that he didn't get called up by the Algerian team. And I just hope that he's ready to perform on Saturday. Now, I do agree with that man's comment about him being wasted by Moyes. A lot of our players did go on international duty, like Paqueta and other players. I will be very, very shocked if Benrahma sitting on the bench on Saturday. I think Benrahma starts on Saturday, in my opinion. I don't think you can really go and put Paqueta in. I don't know where he played with Brazil the other day, and then bring him back and then start him against Wolves on Saturday. I think it's so soon after the event. So yeah, looks like Downs is going the same way. Totally, utterly agree. So yeah, listen. My final fault with Saeed Benrahma is just keep plugging away, mate. Keep plugging away. He does deserve a chance. And I think a lot of the fan base, or vast majority of the fan base, have seen a different change in Saeed Benrahma. I will say that. But one thing I will say is he's a talent. and he needs to be around talented players. And I think Moyes has just ruined him to a point where he just does not like this man at all. And it just seems like a lot of the new players don't get a look in because of Moyes, in my opinion. So keep working, Benny. That's all I can say, mate. And hopefully you start and you score very, very soon for West Ham. What we got is, have a look. Brazil played in Paris. Well, that ain't too bad. If they played in Paris, then that's actually a result, really, because he can be home in no time. So if Paqueta is back in the UK, get him alongside Benrahma. Right, I do mean that. Like, I want to see Benrahma, Paqueta, Bowen, and then either Antonio or Scamacca. Like, I need to see something fresh from this side. Now, it's interesting to speak to everyone about different topics of conversation, but the main topic of conversation at the minute is David Moyes. I've seen it on different platforms, different people mention about David Moyes, and for me, this is his last chance saloon on Saturday. For me, like, I think people are very sort of quick to pull the trigger on Moyes. Don't get me wrong, I understand it. I look at the way he's treated some of the players, even Flynn Downs. Flynn Downs, the way he's treated him is absolutely appalling for a young player who, let's be honest, has played pretty damn well when he's played, and Souček consistently plays over and over again. Now, on Saturday, I do expect a reaction from West Ham. I expect forward thinking, forward passing, and a productive performance on Saturday. There is two major issues on Saturday, though. The first thing is the rail strike. Now, if the fan base is light there, it could be a problem for West Ham, because I don't think it's going to be full capacity on Saturday. I think this could affect us in one way. The second thing is Moyes and his mindset. His mindset has got to change if he wants to keep his job. Now, I've looked at the next three games, and I've done a show on it yesterday with Alfie and James. And for me, next three games will decide it for me. Like, I think the Wolves game is massive. I think if we lose that at home, then I think it ramps it up a bit more. But I think the final nail in the coffin would be against Fulham. I think if we go and play Fulham next Sunday and we lose that game against them, then I don't think there's no coming back from this from Moyes. Do you know what I'm saying? Moyes has got to open up. Like, last season, he had a lot of excuses about certain individuals and saying, well, he's only got 14 players. He had 2 goalkeepers on the bench and crap like that. But now he's got options. He's got quality options. And people keep saying to me this phrase, West Ham have talented individuals, but they don't have a talented manager. And I think Moyes has sort of took us to a level where there is no coming back from this. Do you know what I mean? I don't think Moyes can take us higher than where we've already been. And listen, Moyes has done great. Don't get me wrong. But all good things do come to an end in certain aspects. And sometimes I look at him and I think, you really are doing this to yourself in one way, like, because you're allowing yourself to set yourself up for a massive fail. Do you know what I'm saying? So there is a problem there. Do you know what I mean? And the problem is really with Moyes. Now, if we do win on Saturday, I don't want people to say, well, this paper's over the cracks, so to speak. Like, I want it to be good performance on Saturday, good performance on Thursday, good performance on the following Sunday. If I see 3 consistent performances over the next sort of 7 to 10 days, then I will be over the moon. I'll say, you know what, maybe we're starting to kick into gear. And maybe the international break might have done us a bit of a favour. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, we've got Aguerd coming back, which is going to be a major plus for West Ham, trust me, because he's a top defender. And I think he's sorely missed. Now, who knows what's going to happen in the next sort of 10 days. But one thing that will happen is if it doesn't go the way it goes, I don't think Moyes will be here middle of October. I really don't, which is a shame. Players know they hold more power than the manager. I totally agree. Hello, Jamesy. Your man will get to the works. Okay, mate. Hello, James. Your man will get to the World Cup. Well, I'm worried about the World Cup, mate. I don't think he does get to the World Cup, Mark, if you want me to be honest. I don't think Moyes... And I was looking at it today, funny enough, and this is the irony. 20 years ago, West Ham got relegated with some of the best players that's going to play at West Ham. Right? And I couldn't believe when I was going through it. I think it's 20-year sort of anniversary of West Ham going down. And when we had Defoe, Carrick, Cole, Glenn Johnson, Di Canio, Frederick Canute, we had a top team. And listen, as I am worried. I won't lie to anyone. I am concerned because I've seen this happen so many times. Now I don't get sort of carried away with like one result. I look at the performance rather than the result. I think if West Ham were performing very, very well and just getting very, very unlucky, I would say, you know what, they're going to kick into gear soon. It's going to happen soon, and it's going to blast the team out the ground. I've not seen it once this year in the Prem, and you can't make no excuses for the conference because the conference has only really just begun. So this next month that's coming up, West Ham have 9 games in October. 9 games, which is going to be a stretch for West Ham to try and get positive results out of every single one of them. So I don't think Moyes has till the World Cup. I think West Ham, if West Ham don't get the results in the next sort of 3 to 4 games, I think he'll be gone by the middle of October, in my opinion. I don't think West Ham have time. That's one thing I don't think we have. I think everyone goes, give him to the end of the season. But to spend £170 million and to be worse off than we was last season just does not make any sense at all. It just doesn't. Like, West Ham should be where Newcastle are right now. Like, Newcastle are sitting 10th, I think they are in the league. And fair enough, Newcastle, and I use Mark as examples. I think Mark is a Newcastle fan, but I look at Newcastle, they haven't started off great, but they're there or thereabouts. West Ham are nowhere near on it. Nowhere near. So, but for me to round this up, I do think that on Saturday, I need to see some kind of a performance. Right, I need to see something. And if I don't see something on Saturday, I think I will start to be officially going, that's it, I'm done with Moyes. There is no return for him anymore. Do you know what I'm saying? So it is going to be a major concern. There's going to be a lot of pressure on the lads on Saturday, but I do expect a result against Wolves. And I expect a performance also, not just a result. I expect us to turn up at the LS and put in a first-class performance. And I think Moyes needs this and all. I think if Moyes gets this wrong, then I don't think he's going to be here very long, in my opinion. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that before I get to Troji's comment. If he loses the next 3, he's got to be sacked. I totally agree, mate. I think if he wins the Anderlecht game, it saves him for another week. But I do feel that there is before I do go, I do feel West Ham have been looking at managers. West Ham have been very, very quiet and always 100% backing him and all that. No manager gets 100% backing, mate. Not one. Some of the best managers to ever grace the game have been sacked, like after winning Champions Leagues and things like that. There is no 100% behind this. I think if the Wolves game goes bad, and it's not just a loss, but it's a bad performance also, I think they will fire the gun and get him out the door. Do you know what I mean? Fire him. And listen, it will be a sad day. Don't get me wrong. A lot of people have said this. They don't want to see Moyes sacked because of what he's done. But West Ham have spent a hell of a lot of money. A hell of a lot. £170 million worth of money. And we look shy, if I'm being honest. But we don't look any better at all. And we look worse than we did last season, which is unbelievable. The board have already said that they won't sack him. I don't know. I don't know. I think they're saying that now. But if the results don't happen, and I do believe they've looked at a manager. I believe they've contacted managers, and in that sort of international break, no way West Ham can continue to play as bad as they're playing, and they're in the ballroom sitting there accepting it. Just ain't going to happen, mate, in my opinion. And I do see people saying this, right? I know I'm a bit rambling on, but I do keep seeing the same sort of slogan that's going around. And it's like, well, it don't matter about the league, right? It's all about the Conference League. It is about the league if we're in the Championship. I think people forget that this is West Ham United Football Club, and then anything could happen. right? And I don't want to see us get relegated. I'm not saying we are going to get relegated, but it could happen. And if we do continues to play crap, then it's a worry. So, yeah, he needs to go and just look at the players' faces sooner than later. They will need to make a decision sooner rather than later. I totally agree. You can't say he's lost players because we played better in the second half. I think, Troj, on that comment, I do believe some of the players are not playing for him because it's always the subs that are coming on and trying to save the game. Like some of the people who are trying to prove a point to Moyes, like your Skamakas, your Cornets, your Bennies. Do you know what I mean? And I can understand what you're saying about the second half. But West Ham this season, all they've been is a second half team. Second half against FCSB, second half against Tottenham, second half really against Chelsea to a point. First half we was shocking. Second half we played all right, but then we let it go against them. Second half against Villa, right? It's just not good enough. It's just not good enough, and that is the fear. Right, the fear with me is when we start going down and we start losing and not picking up any results, the confidence is just shot to shit, and we start falling apart. And we've got new players in there who don't get it to a point. I don't think Lucas Paqueta gets it at West Ham yet. I don't think Skamaka gets it at West Ham yet. I don't even think Cornet gets it at West Ham yet. So, like, we've got a lot of players that we're asking to come on and save the game. So, yeah, we will see what happens. More like 10 minutes in the second half. Problem is we don't turn up at the start. And yeah, I totally agree with you, mate. I really do. Listen, I'm going to leave it at that. Please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel. Big week. Big week. Big, right. 7 days, really. We're going to know where we're at. And I can't remember the last time we had a good first half. Nor can I, mate. Not this season. Not this season at all. So, yeah, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel. I'll be back tomorrow night with me, Lucas, Affers, West Ham Online, and Mitchell. And we are going to preview the Wolves game. And we're going to put our 1 to 11s up. And we're going to have a good debate about what players should be starting and not. So do check that out tomorrow night, 9 o'clock on here, E20 Zone TV. Listen, keep the faith, as I do. Listen, it's hard being a West Ham fan from time to time. I will say that. But one thing I will say is that if we can just get one decent win, we might be back in action again. Do you know what I'm saying? But anyway, enjoy your Wednesday evening, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.
There it is. I've never found a love like this.